Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Tuesday, May 12th. Thank you for joining us today and every day. Annette, thank you for joining me. We're going to get started and jump right into it. I think yesterday was the perfect way to start our week, especially considering what you want to bring up that we didn't necessarily plan on, but it's the perfect addition to living a heart-led life because it's the mindset that we need to have as we live a heart-led life.
So this is a little personal, but I'm working on this. So that's why I wanted to bring this to the podcast. I am actively working on this with my personal development.
You are? I had no clue.
I am. I have been journaling about this. I've been trying to read whatever I can about this. I am working on this, and that's why I wanted to bring this to the podcast.
Well, what is this?
That's what I always say to you when we're writing. I always say, now you always say this. What's this? Okay, so this is what this is. Might take me a little bit to explain this. I have had experiences in life that have been completely disappointing. These aren't like I went to the store and somebody was rude and that was a little disappointing.
I didn't have my chips that I like.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about investing in relationships for a very long time and it didn't end well. Or trying to accomplish a certain thing and putting my whole heart into it and then it didn't end well. When those things have happened, I feel pretty devastated, actually. And what I have done in the past, and I don't know if there's anyone out there who shares this experience, needs to hear this today, but I would say to myself, what's wrong with me that I can give decades to this and then it turns out like that? Or I can try as hard as I'm trying or I have tried and it turns out like that. I have what the Buddhists would say been in suffering about this. And suffering in the Buddhist lens is we just don't feel good about it. We can go into shame. We can go into hate. We can get down on ourselves. It can include a lot. It's anything that's not peaceful. I've had these experiences in life. But now, at my current age, which is 64, slowly getting to 65.
One day at a time.
I've said to myself, but the experiences were actually really wonderful. And they were good for me and hopefully for other people. Like I learned a lot. Maybe other people learned a lot. Or in these experiences that I've had where I've tried really hard and then it didn't work out, I did carry a lot with me to whatever the next challenge was. So I'm starting to have a softer view of some of this and say it wasn't all for naught. There were wonderful experiences, wonderful memories. I don't want to just throw it all away. And I don't want to look at myself in such a disparaging way because it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to turn out, the way I had hoped it would turn out. And so I've been really mulling this over, I would say for about a year. But it's just right now. This is what I do. This is my personal development process. Things come in and I recognize it and I kind of look at it and I start hemming and hawing about it a bit inside of myself. It's like, this doesn't feel the way I want it to feel. I want to reach some sort of peace. And then it goes for a while. And then I finally get to this place where I want to bring some understanding in this. And then that's where I'm at with this particular as you said.
So what changed in you or what was going on in you? What have you learned to take these situations that could be disappointing or you could be ruminating and perseverating that they kind of turned out not the way you'd want them to be? How do you take those situations that we all have in life and we could be upset, we can be angry about them, we can be in suffering? How do you take that and then say, I can learn the lesson here. I can see where it helped me in my life. It was a point on the path, a marker on the map. How do you do that? What did you do? What have you learned? And what did you want to bring to this week?
I want to bring to this week what I'm learning about 3 different concepts. The first concept is the idea of attachment. The way I'm using that word of attachment is I need this to work out the way I want it to work out. I need this to turn out a certain way. That's what I'm talking about with attachment. The next concept that's very much related, and it's the opposite, detachment. I don't even care. I don't care what happens. I haven't lived much of my life in that one, but that's what that is, detachment. And the third one is what I want to concentrate on the most is the concept of non-attachment. Now, that can be quite subtle because it's not that you don't care, but it's also not that you're stuck in that if things didn't turn out the way I had hoped they would turn out, I then take it to a place that it doesn't serve me or anyone to take it to that place, which is you're an idiot, I hate your guts, or I'm a failure, which is where we go. Let's say we have something going on with other people, and if they don't show up the way we want them to show up and we invest a lot in them, we can go into hate. We can go into hate and stay into hate, and then we're just hateful. Or we can give ourselves some grace and say, yeah, I got into hate for a while, but is that really serving me? Is that where I want to stay? And for me, no, I don't want to stay in hate because hate is very fearful. When you were talking about a heart-led life or a fear-based life where fear leads us, hate leads us to fear and more fear and more fear and more fear. And then we start looking at life through the lens of fear. I don't want to do that. But I was struggling because I found that there were certain situations where I don't know if I was technically in hate, but I sure wasn't in a loving space. Not toward myself and not toward other individuals. I don't want to live in that. And I also, sharing it on the podcast, I don't think it serves any of us to live in that because when any of us lives in this, that's what we extend out to others. And then it builds on itself. I'm feeling fearful. I'm feeling hateful. And maybe it's a lot to admit that we feel hateful. I'm just going to say, though, there's times when I feel hateful. But then I show up feeling hateful, and then people can feel it, and then I act in a way that is not kind, or maybe I'm not really the type who would be rude, but I may not show up as the best version of myself, but I can be rude in my mind. I do have to say that. And all of this has been brewing inside of me. And then back to your question, Ada, so what do you do? Well, first, we understand these 3 concepts that I just shared. And then tomorrow, I'm going to take you down this road that I'm currently on. If it's a mile-long road, I'm a quarter of the mile in, and I want to share it.
I'm glad you're not waiting until you think you've figured it all out because, as Ram Dass says, one of my favorite quotes, we're all walking each other home.
Yes.
And we're all on this path together. Even though we may be behind the microphones and we work on this all day, every day, we don't want to say we've got it all figured out because we don't. And there's no time like the present. If you're learning something and you think it's helpful, let's share it right now, today, and then we can all help each other out.
So I'll share tomorrow.
Okay, I can't wait. But for today, our intention is a reflection question. As I go throughout my day, can I recognize when I'm in attachment, detachment, or non-attachment? Can I recognize when I'm in attachment, detachment, or non-attachment? As always, no judgment. There's no shoulds here. Just start recognizing when you're coming from one of those 3 spaces. thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.